In this week's episode, I'll be talking about two interesting days. My Astro Interesting Day on the 29th and Conflict Day Part 1, August 1st. This is when Mars is in opposition to Jupiter, about Mars being in charge, and the conflict day of Mercury opposing Saturn, where it's stop in the name of the law. To hear more, tune in to this week's episode of Astrological Intentions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the rapturous reader herself, Sandy Reevy.
Hi, everybody. Is it because I went to some used bookstores?
It is episode 157 and July 26th. Let's get right into it. In the transits, we have Tuesday, July 27th, Mercury, ingress, Leo.
Practice in the mirror.
Wednesday, July 28th, Jupiter retrograde, ingress, Aquarius.
I'll be back.
Sandy's Astrological Interesting Day, Thursday, July 29th, Mars opposing Jupiter.
Mars is in charge now.
And Mars ingress, Virgo.
Oh, well.
And Sandy's Conflict Day, Part 1, Sunday, August 1st, Sun conjunct Mercury.
Quick paced.
And Mercury opposing Saturn.
Stop in the name of the law.
Then in Talisman time, Sandy has finished up some very special 7-day intention challenge talismans. These are a $30 special you won't want to miss. Then upcoming, Sandy has to be serious with you and to serve others and make a profit. Then on the horizon, we have our August astrology forecast coming up this Saturday. Don't miss it. It is a free event, and you can also get your $10 astrology cheat sheet to follow along. Then we have our fall equinox constellation bracelet completely sold out.
Is it?
Yes. So,
oh my gosh.
Let's also talk about in our house where, how could we forget, Astrological Intentions is celebrating its 3-year anniversary. Sandy and I are going to be talking about that. Stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
And the search ends here, where the night is totally clear and your heart is fierce, and so you finally know you control where you go.
Hello, rapturous reader.
Rapturous reader. I know, because I got my new prescription.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I actually make the best alliteration names for you every day. This one, it has so much more meaning than I thought. One, you're getting readers for after your eye.
Yeah.
2, you have a fully booked day of readings today.
Oh, yeah.
And
tomorrow.
3, when you were in Maine, you were at a metaphysical bookstore and you were just like reading everywhere.
Right.
So, wow, that really worked out.
It really did. And I'm happy to. Really, all my classes I'm behind in because I couldn't see very well in my left eye. And that's all improving now.
Awesome. Well, I want to go direct to all of you listeners and say thank you so much for tuning in, listening in, and really supporting us with your messages, your feedback, your reviews. It really does make a big difference. And I repeat, this is our soul food. So this is like, yes, like we need money to like be sustainable and keep going.
So does everyone.
But
Yeah.
this is our purpose. This is like the reason why we do what we do is to get the feedback, like to get that affirmation from everyone saying, wow, this really helped me. So
I actually had 2 text messages back to back within 1 minute of each other.
Well, maybe we can share those next week because I have a very big list for the Going Direct.
Oh.
And it's from our 7-day challenge. And remember last week when we talked about how
faux pas?
my little faux pas, and it turned out that I sent the email to everyone where I was like acting as a very strict gatekeeper that you needed a talisman, and if you didn't, you couldn't join.
Yeah.
So, well, my faux pas is that like I left the gate open and everyone kind of came in. So
And then we had to readjust.
We readjusted. And it worked out really well to the point where we're thinking about doing this again next time.
It's got to be, I think, Alex, it is the way that we do it. It's way more inclusive.
I agree. And that's who we are. And that's something that we pride ourselves in. We love including as many people as we can. So Nikki H says, thank you so much for inviting me to the 7-day challenge. This is one of the people that popped in, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if she has like one of those 2 talismans that we talked about. She says, thank you so much for inviting me to the 7-day challenge and allowing me to share in this space. I feel invigorated and ready for the universe to send its gifts to me. Nikki.
Thanks, Nikki.
There's more, because there's also, I got some feedback from a survey from our past 7-day challenges too. I wanted to share that this 7-day challenge came at a perfect time for me for a lot of reasons. My physical energy, emotional stability has been pretty low, and getting the email about this got me back in touch with intention beads. I found my new bracelet, and that bracelet called out, I needed it, and I knew that. But I also needed this group. The experience of sharing energy and information was something that I really didn't know how much I needed. And to get the details that Sandy shared every day, this week has energized me more than anything else I have attended in the past 8 months, and I authentically felt connected and immensely trusted this new tribe. Oh. I have a very long faith in God, my Catholic upbringing, and although I don't follow exactly everything, I still am very connected to angels and saints. But I have grown to understand that my spiritual side, which includes all that I learn and all that I can understand, and I accept it more every day. Often when I attend a spiritual group, I feel a little bit out of sorts, but whether everyone else seems more experienced in spirituality than me, I just start hiding my own blessings, and I haven't trusted enough to feel free enough to share my truth. I'm not sure, but this group felt so different and so authentic. I am grateful to be a part of it. Thank you. Let's see.
Do you have a name there?
Katie.
Oh, okay.
And
yay, Katie, thank you.
So this was a prompt that I asked, what do you love about the 7-day challenge? Somebody responded, everything. The time of day was good for me. The amount of days was great. Finding out more about all that is done to create the intention beads wasn't just interesting. It helped us all connect to our bracelets and intentions even more. Oh. And let's see. I loved hearing other people's intentions and affirmations, even without knowing any stories behind them, although finding out the stories are great too when people care to share. Hearing the other intentions makes you think about other possible intentions that I can have for the future. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Having these sessions recorded is really, really nice, and being able to still listen if you happen to miss a day is amazing. So that was just some of the feedback that we got from our 7-day challenges. We will continue to do the recordings. We will continue to educate and, share in as much information about that day, about the talismans that we make. And it's really it's like a perfect time to come together and just learn more. So consider getting on that email list and signing up for the next 7-day challenge, because we will be opening it to everybody.
And I think it's scheduled for October. So you have some time. It's not, we don't have to jump on it right now.
Well, jump on getting on the mailing list because,
okay, fine.
I mean, that's how I talk to you. So, okay, in the transits, let's get into it.
It's a big week.
It is a big week. Let's start off with the first transit, Tuesday, July 27th, Mercury ingress Leo.
Practice in the mirror. And talk into yourself. I mean, this is Mercury, the planet of communication, thoughts, ideas, and short trips, short travel. Moves into the fire fixed sign of Leo. So use your hands and all your facial expressions. How does it look when you look into the mirror? And, act up a little bit, be a bit dramatic. How much do you like being overly expressive, kind of as a performer?
Yeah, having
right?
that confidence.
But
that Leo,
using your hands.
Yes.
And using all your expressions and including and asking questions maybe and asking clarifying questions. Because Mercury here is combust because it's within the sun's rays. So, the combustion is only days away, but it is combust, but the Kazemi is just days away. So which we'll talk about that, which is on Sunday, August 1st. But it's best when you're acting happy and like a child, because the sun in Leo is the ruler. It's welcoming Mercury into his home. So not too shabby. So performing any kind of speech, words, writings,
interpretive dance.
Really all that. It's like, if you want to be more dramatic, here's the place. Or for shy people, right? The non-dramatic, here's where they can like uplift their game a little bit.
I agree. I love that. That's, I think, my favorite transit of the week. But nobody asked. So Wednesday, July 28th, Jupiter retrograde, ingress Aquarius.
So, of course, in the retrograde cycle, Jupiter is now going backwards from Pisces, where he has been for about 2.5 months.
And that's when we did all of our talismans. We did our talisman ceremonies. I mean, those are still on the website, too, if you wanted to retroactively look at those.
Because Jupiter has made, went into Pisces, Jupiter's home sign, where it will return. That's why it's like, I'll be back. Mm-hmm. But in the retrograde phase is going to go back into Aquarius and and see what needs to wrap up in the Aquarian area. Something about humanitarianism. It's finishing up, it is going back to boundaries here. So, because Saturn is in the sign of Aquarius, where Jupiter is now returning to. They were together for a while. Jupiter escaped into Pisces for a while, for 2.5 months, and now retrograded, as all planets do, except for the sun and the moon, and moved back into Aquarius. Now he's up against the boundaries of Saturn. So, I don't know, something about the Delta variant. Are people, I have been reading, there's some things about getting put back in, get your masks back on in the state of California, particularly at Los Angeles.
Indoor face masks. Yeah, I heard.
Face masks, or just kind of closure, something about boundaries again. So let's see if, and this stays here for the remaining part of the year until December 30th. So really it's to the end of the year. So let's just see. But Jupiter will be back before the end of the year, but just like I say, barely on the 30th of December. So it's kind of like waiting for Santa's promise. He does keep it, but just barely until that end of December. So Christmas will be over.
What,
you're
so
like,
you ask for a pony and he gives you a rocking horse or something.
Oh, good. But then the pony shows up at the end of the year, or January 1st. Maybe it'll be a New Year's Day gift. He needs to return for the 5 months to do this community check-in. This 5 months that he's here, and keeping his promise made in the progressive Aquarius, humanitarianism, universality, scientific solutions can to begin to conclude. So it's like refocusing on plans and projects that you've had. Not so much the wishes and the dreams, but you got a glimpse of the wishes and dreams the last 2 months. You set your intention. That's why looking at those Jupiter and Pisces talismans we made extras.
Right.
Can hold you to what that vision is that you want 2022 to be for you, because Jupiter will come back to Pisces.
And you still, if you sign up for that talisman ceremony, you still get those dates and those important, pivotal moments where you can really launch ahead into those visions and dreams.
Yeah, so we'll put the link in this because there are just a few left. It does, you create I have the intention planned, you have the affirmation that you write. So
okay.
That's important.
And moving on, we have your Astro Interesting Day. Thursday, July 29th, there's 2 transits. The first, Mars opposing Jupiter.
So this happens at 10:50 in the morning, and this is at 29 degrees. Mars is in Leo at 29 degrees in opposition to Jupiter. Remember, Jupiter just went back into Aquarius, so he's at 29. He's retrograde. And so Mars has the lead here because Mars is moving forward. He's direct in motion. And Mars is in his bounds and face. So he holds power here over the Jupiter retrograde because Jupiter in Aquarius is not real fortified. Jupiter's not in any of his home signs or exaltations. So, you can work. This is great for planning something. It's an opposition, getting moving, but don't overstretch. But you can work it, but don't overstretch. You'll pull something. Mm-hmm. It's like pulling that quad muscle. Oh, a little too much. Snap.
Oh, ow.
Right?
Like that really hurts.
So you really don't want to go too far. And that's one reason why I called it the Astro Interesting Day. But what's this? 6 hours later, Mars moves into, because, the 29 degrees, then the next degree is 0 into the next sign. Mm-hmm. And so by 3:30 p.m., Mars moves into the sign of Virgo. And this is where it's like, oh, well. But Mars conjoins the fixed star Regulus here. So, Mars is a malefic. Mars is the active action planet. So we want to imagine here the scene of a hangover. Do you know the movie Hangover?
Of course.
Who doesn't? It was an entertaining time that happened to someone else. But imagine that scene of that hangover, the very last, that period after a bunch of fun. And this is now, it's time to clean up that fun that you had the last 6 weeks. So get organized. And the best way is to hire help. Right? It's like you can't do all this yourself. You will get overburdened because Mars going in from the sign of Leo, fun, fire, fixed, wanting to stay on a plan. That's exciting. And then moves into just after he hits the opposing Jupiter. So it's like, wow, big lots of this. And then boom, hours later, it's like moving into, oh my gosh, what just happened kind of thing. And Virgo is a mutable earth sign. It's about finding ways to organize, get set.
Awesome.
Feeling a little bit earth instead of fire.
And so let's move into your conflict day, which is happening just days later. This is part 1 of your conflict day, Sunday, August 1st. And there's 2 transits on this day. Sun conjunct Mercury is first.
This happens at 9:08 a.m. Central Time. This is the quick paced. This is the superior cazimi of Mercury moving into the sun's furnace or heat, right into the center of the heart of the sun. So Mercury here in the superior cazimi placement is in his direct phase. He's moving quite quickly, so it's quickly paced, clear and quick, all fired up. The sun welcomes the Mercury into his domicile, Leo, as he is the ruler. However, I'll give you a heads up. Mm-hmm. You will soon run into Mr. Stop Sign, which is why I consider this conflict day part 1.
Okay. And so that's the Mercury opposing Saturn, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Stop in the name of the law.
That's how I named that. And so this is the same day, that Sunday, August 1. So that first cazimi occurred, at 9 in the morning. And then here comes the stop in the name of the law by 5 p.m. at 4:50 p.m. that day. So watch your speed because someone is watching what you're doing. And you may or may not get in trouble, but you're going to experience much delay or get an outright no.
Okay.
So like this is like clear, like Mercury's always, when he's in a superior Kazemi phase, when he's on the other side of the sun from the earth, moving very quickly. And he's in a fire sign, so he's moving fast. And you want to move fast. You want to get in your car, and you want to speed, and you want to run, and you want to not stop at the intersections. And watching that movement of your thoughts and ideas and ideations and networking and la 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 la, talking too fast. Mm-hmm. You know, by the time the afternoon comes, it faces opposition to Saturn. So
Okay.
we're going to just kind of keep that, you know, that fast pace, make sure you're being very pragmatic on all of that fast pacedness, that you have a plan, you have a destination. If something, you know, keep your eye in the rear view mirror and in all your side view mirrors, as to make sure that you're, you know, on point, and you're paying attention to also in the windshield where you're headed.
And the law.
And the law and the signs along the way.
Okay.
Watch the red flags and the red signs.
And it seems like
and
this...
the red sirens.
Oh, yeah.
That maybe
The lights.
Maybe they're not after you. Maybe they're going to help someone that needs help or get to the hospital.
Right. And so this week is hugely based on Mercury, Jupiter, and Mars.
Yep.
I mean, these are like the three players here. So any just overall message about this week?
And it's a lot of Leo, and then moving into Virgo. So, you know, when we get to our August forecast, which is coming up soon, at the end of this week, really, it's what I'm going to call this first week in August is trigger week.
Okay.
It's a trigger week. It's hitting that Saturn square Uranus, and there's just a lot of planets getting into that position of choo-choo, ching, ching, ching. I don't know if it's pinball wizard. I don't know if it's a shooting range. I don't know. It's just there's triggers getting popped. But it starts here, August 1. Boom, August 1.
Okay, so let's move into Talisman times. You have finished up, again, the 7-day intention challenge talismans. These are a $30 special. There's 4 different options for you. They range from to be determined, to be the power source, to shift into new thought territory, or to test my next step. So these are really wonderful. Also, if you get, and I'll only tell this to podcast listeners and some of our 7-day challenge attendees, if you get all 4, if you put in the code 7days, when you're checking out, you get $20 off all 4.
Nice.
So it's a great savings.
And they're limited, quite limited in supply.
Quite. Yes. Yeah. So next up, the upcoming talismans that you have. First is Friday, July 30th, to be serious with you.
You are so important to me. Let us mix our feelings together to produce an easy as possible relationship. I am important to you. This is, 8 p.m. at night, and we're looking at the rising sign. Saturn's coming up over the horizon. Saturn's quite strong right here in his own sign of Aquarius. He is retrograde. But the moon is exalted, making an aspect to the sun, who is in Leo, who is in his domicile. The moon in her exaltation, and is making an aspect to Saturn in his domicile, which is the ruler. So, and is also making a trine to Venus, the moon's ruler. So this isn't just about relationships to me. This is about 1st house, 7th house, 4th house. And that's about what's important and holding feelings together to make something that is a little bit of you and a little bit of me, right?
It sounds like a family to me.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. If the fourth house is family.
If it's just the two of you making a family, but having those ties where it goes much deeper than, even being in relationship. It's like we're family, because those we all know, like, those ties run way deeper.
And Saturn, because the word to be serious with you. I thought that was, and I just wanted to write to be serious, but my pen didn't stop, and I wrote with you. And I'm like, with you?
Or maybe people are like, having the discussion of like, let's start a family, because those are very serious conversations.
Yeah, but it's too about any feelings or any communication that needs to happen. So I like the fact that it starts with, you are so important to me, and then it ends with, I am important to you. Mm-hmm. So it's that give
reciprocity.
And take. Yeah, that first, seventh, balancing on the fourth. So it's because we're together. So this could be two family members, really.
True.
It's just me and that other person. So to be serious with you, hey, we need to talk. We need to get something out. Yeah.
And Saturday, July 31st, to serve others and make a profit.
I am confident my knowledge serves others' interest, especially where health and well-being are concerned. This is measured by my profit in hand. So I like this. The moon is involved again here. The moon is still in her exaltation, Taurus, making just left the trine to Venus and making a sextile aspect, a square aspect to Jupiter. So this is what's called enclosure, where the moon is in between both the benefics. And the moon rules the sixth house. This is about health and wellness and about sharing and helping others' interests. But it also, Jupiter rules the second house of money. So this is about profit.
Right.
Yeah. So to serve others, suddenly you notice over here on the other side, the money is, kind of accumulating. But your whole purpose is to serve others through health and well-being.
And everybody, don't forget that here is where I'm going to quick throw in that link for the Jupiter and Pisces Talisman ceremony. This is the workshop. It's all recorded. You get the talisman itself, and you get the worksheets that Sandy creates just for you in your chart. So check that out. And also, in the links as well is the Talisman of the month. This is the last opportunity. This is the last week you have to enjoy all the lovely gifts I own. That's the talisman that's up, and it's at a very, very special price. This is only $211 rather than the $244, and you get free shipping. So it's win-win-win-win-win. Let's move on the horizon. We have July 31st. That's this Saturday. August's astrology forecast. That's on Facebook Live with Sandy and Susan, and they go through all of the dates in August that you need to be astrologically aware of. So you can bring your calendar. You can download our cheat sheet where it has Sandy and Susan's comments already there. You get to have the symbols and the times, and where you can start making sense of astrology and really working with it.
Here?
Yeah.
So when you ask me, like, Mom, are you doing the cheat sheet? I'm like, oh, man, I forgot. I got so, I don't know.
You were out of town. You were busy.
I was visiting Andrew in Boothbay Harbor, Maine. And when you asked, I was like, okay, I'm going to wake up early and go sit out on the balcony and write for August. And they had a place for me at the B&B that I stayed at. It's not an Airbnb. This is the old-fashioned bed and breakfasts. Yeah. And they were preparing breakfast. I could smell it. Oh my gosh, they had so many different things on the menu. The coffee woke me up. It was so delicious. I mean, literally, I could smell it coming into my room up these old, beautiful carpeted steps made of wood, and just, this is Maine, folks, right? So I go out and I'm on the harbor and I'm writing. The sun's coming up. I'm drinking my coffee. In fact, I took a picture of this. So maybe we add that of when I wrote the August, and it was a cheat sheet. And it was like one of those periods where I wasn't rushed. Everything was downloading very easily. So it was one of my favorite memories of ever writing a cheat sheet. Well, I mean, we've only done it for what, eight months now, but it was my favorite one. How about that?
Yeah. And what we can do, we can add that to one of the emails that I have prepared. Okay. So if get on the mailing list, of course, if you want to check out Sandy's Boothbay Harbor, Maine visions as she was writing that. So also an update on our fall equinox constellation bracelet and workshop starting September 7th. It is sold out. So if that comes as bad news to you and you didn't have time to, sign up, Sandy and I are considering a different option. So if you would like, go ahead and email me, alex@intentionbeads.com. And if I can get this together before September, which is pretty likely, and we have enough signups, it is going to be beautiful. So I can't tell you exactly what we'll be doing. I can't tell you exactly how much or what all is, a part of this. But if you're curious and you just want to learn more, alex@intentionbeads.com.
This is the first time that our constellation bracelet workshop that we've been doing for 3 years has filled up this quick. I mean, we're not even 6 weeks till the start of it. So we've not had to, put a secondary thing in place, but we're good at that.
Oh, we are.
We're good at that. So,
and we can make it fun.
But we don't want to put anything together if there's no interest. So email alex@intentionbeads.com if you're interested, and we will create a beautiful opportunity.
Okay, let's move into our house. I don't know how we just breezed by this. I think it's because we've gotten into such a repetitive thing with this podcast that we forgot that last week was our 3-year anniversary.
3 years of one podcast each week.
At least, right?
So when I was prepping for this today, I go, Alex, we're at 157. And I had to get my calculator out and go, 52 weeks times 3 was 156. That was last week.
It was.
So it was like, oh my God, 3 years. Try something, folks. What have you been doing
for 3
years each week that is fun, but is a dedication?
It's a definite dedication. I mean, we create this information, we compile it, we discuss it, we figure out what we're going to be adding and how, and a lot of it, luckily for us, comes very fluidly. Mm-hmm. You and I, this is basically like us just sitting down and kind of having one of our meetings. Mm-hmm. But yes, I mean, there is some work I took on since this past year. I've taken on the producing aspect of this podcast, which is a whole nother thing. And it's been a wonderful journey. We can't thank you enough. I mean, we do it every week. We thank you all for listening, but we really can't thank you enough for, participating with us.
It's like coming into our home and coming into our table. And, we do, I know you're taking off a little bit later today to go to a wedding in California. So mm-hmm. I'm just getting back from Boothbay Harbor, Maine. So we do have to find our times to record and prepare for this to get it out on time. And I have to commend you, Alex, since you've become the podcast. You have produced a Monday morning 8 a.m. Availability for the last year and a half since you've taken it on. So,
has it been a year and a half?
Yeah, we're like basically August, let's say.
Wow.
Yeah. You took that on in February. So bravo to you that you've done such a great job, and you're really committed to, all that you do. And it's just interesting. Again, I bring up you're in a 10th house perfection year with Mercury there. Your messaging of your career, of your visibility is really important to you. You've taken that on. And, some of the work that you've been doing with, Ashley and with Crystal to get new messaging out in very beautiful and informative ways. I don't know if anybody's checked out some new things that have been going on our Instagram page. That's all due to Alex and her planning with her team.
I have a team now. It's really amazing. And what I've loved and learned about the entrepreneurial process is that you really have to do like everything yourself for a good amount of time. And it's just like nonstop work, but it's something that's exhilarating and fun. And, you have to be willing to do it. And you have to be willing to like overcome the challenges.
Well, I just remember something. We took a walk, a week or two ago. And you had said that another entrepreneur said something. She had just moved from a big corporate job to an entrepreneurial position. And she was just and you gave her some advice.
I did.
And it was, as an entrepreneur, you can never pre-plan ahead on whatever income or work that's coming in or inquiries. Nothing's guaranteed like a paycheck every 2 weeks when you're working for corporate, right? Where there's an HR department and and a promotional review and, all of this that you can count on.
Right.
And
well, I said, the universe does have your back. Don't worry about that. It will come. Stay dedicated, stay focused, stay hungry, and it will come. You can't say how, when, where. You have to be constantly flowing with it and pivoting and focusing your attention in so many different areas. But
and sure enough, what
right. And then later that day, there was an offer for some money, and somebody also called and said, "Hey, I'm literally going to throw the money at you now so that we can work, months down the line." So it was just really awesome, and I'm sure she's listening, being like, "That's me." But yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, it's tough, but it's wonderful. Well, and let's get back to talking about the podcast.
One more add-on there is that Martha Beck taught us years ago to say those, "I like you, you like me." And when you can say that too, you can bring those opportunities to you. We've used it time and time again. I used it yesterday when I went into the eye doctor for the final time, or what I thought was the final time. But, I like you, you like me. You say that under your breath. You say that into your head. And you'll start to see people can feel you say that. Mm-hmm. And you will get a smile, and you will get a change of attitude. If someone is like not so pleasant, say that into your head, and they will change their attitude.
Yes. And because I want to get back to the podcast about our 3-year anniversary. I want to have some like cool plans for this.
Oh, okay.
And I'm thinking maybe a little, because we have just a few of our pocket planners left over from.
Well, they're halfway through the year. Yeah.
Right. From 2021. I want to just give these away. And so what I'm thinking is having some sort of giveaway on Astrological Intentions Instagram. So stay tuned for next week, because I will be announcing what that is and how you get there. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. And I think we had no plans for this 3-year anniversary, because it literally just happened like happened to come into a mind at the beginning of this podcast recording.
Yeah, I'm like, Alex, we're at 157, July 26th through August 1st. And you're writing it. I'm like, 157?
That seems
52
like 3 years.
times 52, well, 52 plus 52 plus 52. I think we missed our 3-year
We
anniversary.
totally did.
I had to get the calculator out and go, yeah, we did.
So I can't believe, like, how could we forget? So thank you all for listening in. Thank you for spending your time letting us join you on your transit times and to work, your breakfast times, wherever you listen in. We would love to hear more about what you think about our podcast.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes.
Since we are talking about the anniversary, or Annie, third year, is how we got started.
Sure.
And again, that was that entrepreneurial spirit. And I'm going to blend the two together. You'll watch how I do this.
Okay, great.
Okay. So as the Mercury, you have a strong Mercury. I have a very weak Mercury in my natal chart. And the fact that you had wanted to do a podcast about 3.5 years ago, or 3 years plus a couple of weeks, and you set it out there into the universe, kind of like I like you, podcast, where are you? You like me, podcast, where are you? And you went to the beach one day to do your zip, not zip lining, but your slacklining.
Basically tight roping. Yes.
Yeah. And you were there, and some other people were nearby, or that they were friends of a friends that came to the party. And after everybody was not a snowstorm, but a rainstorm came in. And the one guy said, hey, anybody wants to go jam at my studio? And you said, sure, I'll go.
Right. I mean, I was invited. I had my ukulele there. I would just sit on the slack line balancing, playing my ukulele, or at least, just entertaining whoever came by.
And he invited you to the group to
right.
his recording studio. And when you get there, he tells you he's a podcast producer.
Yeah, or he was really interested in starting. And I'm like, ding, this is perfect. Because when I was researching and figuring out different podcast producers, they would be, they had a brick and mortar, they had all of the bells and whistles. And it was pretty expensive per hour, per episode. You had all of these fees. When we started discussing it, the ping happened, it was like, why don't you just come in? We'll record a little something. We'll see if it even sounds good, if you guys enjoy the time spent. I'm like, this is my style. I like this.
And you called me and said, Mom, we're doing the record. I found the producer. So in 2 days' time, we're coming back in here to just do a reel or something, whatever you call it. And I was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I'll be there. Yeah. And we went in, and I'm like, I hate my voice. Nobody likes their voice on recording.
It's so true.
It's like, I can't even hear. But I have to tell you, when we did a little snippet of something, and then he replayed it back into this beautiful. He built a recording studio in his home. Yeah. And I thought, you know what? My voice isn't so bad. It's not sound like a man. And it's
when you have good microphones.
Yeah, I guess so, right? And I was like, thumbs up. I like this. And even if I didn't like it, I knew I had to follow your suit, your
lead.
Your lead.
Yes.
So great. And here we are 3 years later, 157 sessions. And thank you for joining. And we've stayed to format. We had to have a going direct. He wanted, which I don't know if people recognize this, but I want to make it clear here. He as the producer said, you need like kind of bins,
4 different sections of the podcast, like consistent flow.
Yeah. So we're like, he's like, you want to do an introduction of some way, and we're like, and that didn't even happen right away. We went right into the transits. Right. So we're like, we'll call it in the transits, because that's the weekly, the daily of the week of what's occurring astrologically. That's the main bulk of why we're even here.
Yes.
And he's like, okay, well, you need talisman. So we'll do talisman times because I'm also a talisman maker. That's the main bulk
Right.
of what I do. And so we did these talisman times. And he's like, okay, you need another one. And we're like, okay, we'll talk about upcoming things. What's on the horizon? Oh, on the horizon. Because that's an astrological term of
Right.
what is coming up on the horizon, what's ascending. And so we called it On the Horizon. And so those were the three that we started with. And so after the first couple, he's like, you need an intro. You pop right into the transits and you need an intro. It's like, can you read something that maybe somebody, I'm like, yeah, we get a lot of
Feedback,
feedbacks, accolades,
fan mail.
And so we said, well, we'll call that going direct.
Right.
Because when planets go direct, they're making headway. So we decided to put going direct. And at some point, you and I started talking about
Personal stories.
personal things like, oh, remember when that happened to you,
Right.
or yesterday that happened.
And we would get so far on a tangent that it would like take the conversation into like uncharted territory where it was really hard to come back to say like the talisman we were talking about or the event we were talking about, that we needed to have a space called our house where we would invite people in and just talk about, more personal things, where we had anything that we were really going to be talking about in these episodes had its little space
bucket
to like be
silo,
filled. Right.
yeah. And really, if you think about going direct, that's an astrological term. In the transits, we're watching all of the astrological transits. Then we talk about talisman times. Then we talk about on the horizon, what's coming up in our house, because there are 12 houses in a chart. So this is our house where you and I live together,
Right.
and share this information. So it just kind of flowed very easy. We would put things in the places it needed to go, and off we went.
Right. And here we are 3 years later.
Yeah,
It's pretty amazing. And I think that's it. But I also wanted to get back into my shout out to all of you. Thank you again, everybody, for your feedback, your fan mail, the soul food emails that you send us. Keep on sending those. Alex@intentionbeads.com. Also, what I love too, if you can head over to your Apple podcast and give us a 5-star review, and also tell us what you think so that everyone else can have a look and get an idea of, is this podcast right for me? So
And actually, you are the referrals, sitting out there in your car, in your couch, sitting on your lounge chair, listening to this, that you are the referrals that people can trust you, that this is something that you enjoy. We want to increase our reach.
right.
Help us increase our reach for this
Our ambassadors.
our ambassadors for the next 6 months,
Yes. Well,
5 months.
we'll do it all. And thank you, everybody, again for listening in. We greatly appreciate it. We can't wait until next week when we get to talk to you. Until then, have a wonderful week.
Bye now.
And the search ends here, where the night is totally clear, and your heart is fierce, and so you finally know you control